I told you there's one thing I do when I train my dogs that if you did it, it would exponentially change the results you get with your dog training sessions. And it's easy for you to do. And I'm willing to share in detail exactly how I do it. As a matter of fact, I wrote a book that I'm happy to give to you. Would you be interested? I'm hoping so. I really want to help you with your dog training. Today, I'm going to share with you something that I mentioned in podcast episode number 131 when I was talking about exactly how to plan your training. I mentioned that my mentor, Dr. Bob Bailey, when I asked him what was the one thing that he thinks had the biggest impact on animal training in his lifetime. And he did not even hesitate when he said the use of videoing training sessions. And I said, wow, without even hesitation, he said, absolutely, exponentially changes training. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip right off the bat. It isn't just videoing the training. You actually have to review the video after you video the training. It's like, you can't just buy one of our courses and instantly have a better behaved dog. You actually have to learn from the course and apply what you're learning. That's how life works. And so videoing, I want to share with you exactly how I do it. And most of you listening to or watching this, you have a video camera on your phone. Unless you still have a flip phone, which some of you might still have. You have a video camera, or you can get a GoPro, which is pretty inexpensive. You need a tripod, yes, but guess what? Toilet paper roll. In a pinch, it's a tripod, right? Check it out. All you need is a pair of scissors, and you've got yourself a tripod. I just shot a training session with my puppy, and I captured it all on this phone with this toilet paper roll tripod. There's no excuse for not videoing your training. Of course, you may not have a phone with a camera, but if you have a phone with a camera, or you have access to buy like a used GoPro or anything, you can take advantage of video in training exponentially. Let's arbitrarily say it takes 100 units of time and effort to train a behavior X. If you used video while you were training, in some cases, that could get down to 1 unit of time and effort. I kid you not. Because think about this. If you're training your dog every day by yourself, and you're doing something that's anywhere from not quite right in your mechanics, or not quite right in the delivery of your ward, or not quite right in how you mark what you want, all the way up to palm slap, that is like so bad in your mechanics. Can you see how you're going to have a varied result in what the dog's actually going to learn? Some cases, the dog may just get frustrated and give up. Now, if you had me there watching your training and giving you feedback, could you see how that training session could be exponentially better? Because I'm going to help you identify what you're doing and how that's impacting your dog training. Now, what if you had a coach who didn't have eyesight like mine? You had a coach who had like Superman, not X-ray, but better slow motion vision. That would be a huge help to be able to catch what you're doing just in the microseconds, within the microseconds of what you're doing and the impact it has on your dog. That's the gift that video gives you. It is like you are your own coach. And you could say, well, Susan, I don't know enough to be my own coach. We've got templates. We've got lesson plans here on my YouTube channel. There are some lesson plans on games that you can play with your dog. You can start there. Video your training, look at what I've taught in the video, and go back and forth, and I promise you will move from those 100 units of training time and effort. I promise if you use video, you will exponentially improve that time and effort it takes for you. It may get down to 50 units of time and effort. It may get down to 10. And honestly, it could get down to 1. You could go, holy crap, I didn't know I was doing that. And you'll be shocked once you see what you are actually able to pick up when you're watching your own video. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to look for and how to do it. And trust me, you know, it's not that difficult. It really isn't that difficult. Now, I might make it more complex when I'm videoing my training. I sometimes set up as many as 3 cameras, and then I will knit them together to see the finished product. All I'm suggesting is you set up 1 camera. Now, you may or may not video your warm-up. If you're new to training, I recommend you video everything, the way you're warming up your dog, because you might lose your dog in the warm-up and not have the dog's enthusiasm and attention when you go to work. And if you didn't video that, you wouldn't know it. Now, I don't video my warm-up these days because I've been doing this a long time. But it's really good advice to just set that camera on and start videoing everything you do. So here's what it looks like. I set up my camera, I start my training. I might train, I don't know, depending on what I'm doing, anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, have my dog hop it up. I'll go and stop the camera and I'll quickly just scrub through and see what's happening on that video. And then I'll turn it back on, get the dog back out, and improve 1 thing, minimum of 1 thing. Now, there are some times I go, wow, we were amazing. Let's just repeat what we just did. But honestly, I always look to change 1 thing, see if we can get a little better at 1 thing. So some of the times I will interrupt my training and just take a look at the video. But a lot of the times I'll get back into the house and I'll do 3 things. And this is what I recommend my students do, these 3 things. So the first time you're going to look through your video, and it's what I call, you need to dump the emotional baggage. So you need to not judge how you look in those baggy sweatpants. You're not going to judge what you did or didn't do with your dog. I want you to celebrate and be proud. So you're just going to watch the video as if you're watching a television show. Just nothing in particular, just so that you're prepared. You see everything that happened, all go through once. Let go of any negative self-thoughts. Just let it all go. Guess what? I want you to high-five yourself for getting in front of the camera and training your dog. You have done something that so many other people are choosing not to do. You are exponentially improving the ability to help your dog be better at whatever it is you're training them to be. You're going to be in a better place because you videoed and are reviewing your training. So review number 1, phase number 1 is just review, dump any emotional baggage, and just watch the video of what I've seen. Now you can choose to go a little faster, a little slower. I don't go slow on this. I just want to go and see what's happening. All right, that's review number 1. Review number 2 is where I'm going to look through and I'm going to ignore, if I see anything that's a mistake, I'm going to ignore all of this. Review number 2 is where I pick 3 things that I'm really happy with. And I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to be writing this in a journal, right? So here's 3 things. Yep. Oh, look at pass number 1. I deliver the reinforcement. Excellent, right? Oh, look at my dog. She looks so happy. And the 3rd thing is, she nailed it. Like we did great on that. All right. So pick at least 3 things. If you see more than 3 things, then write down more than 3 things. But I want you to pick at least 3 things that you liked about what you were looking at. Now, what exactly are you looking at? Well, it might be your training mechanics, how you deliver the reinforcement, the placement of the reinforcement, maybe the marking of the reinforcement. Were you moving when you used a click or when you said good? Were you already moving your food? No, you weren't. Yeah, that's something to celebrate. It might be your ability to select criteria. That's exactly what I was going for. Now, you might also be looking at your dog. Was your dog engaged? How was your dog's enthusiasm? How well did your dog execute on the criteria that you had selected for them? So that tells you how well you had planned your training. And your video is just like, who would plan a movie and not go back and rewatch it, right? You've got to rewatch it to see how you can get better. So that's our second pass through, is looking at what we did great and what we're going to celebrate. Now, the third pass through is where we're looking at where we can improve. And this is completely unemotional. This is constructive review. How can I get better for my dog? What is my dog doing, and what is my response about it? Remember, it's always about the environment that we set up, the criteria that we selected, the timing, whatever has gone wrong. If you've said, well, gee, my dog was, they didn't do that really great. It's on us, right? It's us that has to change something, because when we change something that we're doing, our dog's behavior changes. That's how it works. The change has to come from us first, which is why we have to video. We have to video to see what it is that we're seeing in there. Now, for those of you who are saying, yeah, I know I should video, I just don't get around to it. Or you have a number of other reasons why you're not videoing. What I like to say, if I go out and I go, I'm just going to do a quick session, I'm not going to video it. I run through my mind this one little thought. I recognize that one of the leading experts in dog training, or in animal training, Bob Bailey, I recognize that the experts have proven if I video this session, I will give myself an exponentially bigger chance of improving my skills and give my dog an exponentially bigger chance of learning. But I still choose not to. I personally don't want to say that too many times, so I'm going to make sure I video my training. Now, that might be too harsh for you to say to yourself, but I just want you're making a choice. You're choosing to video your sessions, or you're choosing not to. But be honest with yourself that it is a choice. Choosing to not video, that's a choice you're making. And know that you are saying, I don't mind spending 100 times longer working on something to get it. I don't mind that my dog might never understand this. And it could be one thing that I'm doing wrong that I could pick up on, because I could pick it up on if I watch somebody else doing it. One thing that I picked up on. And if you're absolutely saying, I wouldn't have a clue what I would be looking at this video, try it. And if you still don't, then join one of our programs. Homeschool the Dog would be a great place to start. Join one of our programs and let us help you to improve, because in our programs, you video your training and you look at it, you go through those 3 phases, then you post your video with your observations and let us help you improve those observations. It really is the most magical thing that you could ever do. You automatically are going to be a better dog trainer because you have a coach every time you go out to train. But remember, don't just let those videos sit on your phone. You have to review it. Like, even if you only have a few minutes, scrub through and just pick the 3 things that you did great. All right, that's all. You don't have to watch the pretty movie and go, ooh and ah, and aren't we great? You don't have to. If you're short on time, just watch this and see what you did great. Now, I recommend that you store these videos somewhere, because your phone's gonna get pretty full. And if you're using any other kind of camera, like, you're gonna have a big collection of memory cards. So 2 places that I like to store. Now, my favorite these days is creating a Google Drive, a Google account that you can just upload your videos, and you can actually, I think it's like $1 or $2 a month. You get like 15 gigs or something, I don't know. There is you can upload a lot of videos for free. But if you want like even more storage, I think you can go to like 100 gigabytes of storage for like $1 or $2 a month with Google. I want you guys to have success for your dogs. Now, what I used to do, and this might be a great option for a lot of you, is I would create a group in Facebook, a private group for each one of my dogs, and I would just upload my videos there. I would take them down, and for me personally, because I might have 20 minutes of training time, there might only be like, I don't know, 3 to 8 minutes of training in that 20 minutes that the camera captured. So I use a product on my iPhone called Video Leap. Love that app for just doing a quick little cut. Now there's tons of different apps for Androids and iPhones that you can do a quick little video where I'm just cutting out pieces and then I just upload that little chunk, because I will go back and review the chunks. For example, I've got a Facebook group that I'm using right now just with 2 of my friends that I'm just uploading just my jump training with my youngest dog. And so you can store it as it works best for you. But I just want to stress, videoing is phenomenal, but it isn't of much value unless you review what you videoed. That's the magic of video. Now, my team and I, we wrote this book for our online students. It's called Tips for Videoing Your Training. It goes into detail about some of the things that I mentioned here on today's podcast, and also some other details about what to look for. It's a 10-page ebook. If you would like a copy, now, keep in mind, I wrote this for my students, so it would be an ebook like you were one of my students. If you would be interested in that, I will make sure there is a link in the description for you to download. This is a great book, so you can download your own copy of that ebook. I wondered how many people actually video their dog training. So my team put up a survey on social media asking that question. And the 4 categories were, I video my training almost 100% of the time. And I said not 100% of the time because I didn't want anyone to lie. But let's just say you make an effort. You make an effort, you see the value, you make an effort. The next category was greater than 50%. The next category was less than 50%. And the bottom category was, I just don't. I don't do it. And when I thought about this poll, I thought, well, I bet you'll be like 25% or less that would do it 100% of the time. But I'd be willing to guess like 50 to 70% of the people will do it at least 50% of the time. That was what my hallucination was. Boy, was I wrong. Now, I'm going to preface this by reminding you that every moment of the day that you are interacting with a dog, other than when that dog is sleeping, you are training the dog. So it's kind of a bit of a trick question because, you know, unless you have like closed circuit TV on you all the time, then none of us are really videoing our dog training that much. But I'm talking about formal training. When you set up to, okay, I've planned my session, I'm going to go train my dog. What percentage of that time would you record what you're doing? And here's a shocker. Like, I was literally taken aback. 88% that answered this survey said they video their training less than 50% of the time. That meant, well, let's do math. Only 12% of you said you video your training greater than 50% of the time. 63% said, I never video my training. Kaboom. We have millions and millions of downloads of the Shape by Dog podcast. Millions of downloads of people who see value in this podcast, see value in learning about how to train your dog, but you're not taking advantage of a simple and really an effective training tool. So I was absolutely, like, I'm glad I didn't bet anyone money on this one because, man, I would have lost big time. That 63% of people who listen to this podcast and took the poll do not video any. They have never videoed their dog training. So I thought, well, there's got to be some reasons. So I brainstormed, well, ChatGPT and I, we brainstormed together, and grain of salt, never take anything ChatGPT says as gospel, but it's a great way to kind of stimulate your own thought processes. And of all the suggested reasons ChatGPT had for me why people might not be videoing the training, I categorized them into 3 groupings. I want to reverse those statistics. My goal is for it to be 88% of you video your training greater than 50% of the time. There, I've stated it. So of the 3 groupings that I mentioned, I think probably the most impactful would be mindset and awareness, in that within that category would be value. Like, you're not going to do something that you don't see value in doing. Who's going to do that, right? And so have I explained the value? Dog training is a mechanical skill, meaning our dog's abilities are 100% at the mercies of our abilities. There is no dog that's ever been better than their dog trainer. It's just not. Now you can say, oh, Susan, I've had some great dogs and I'm not a great dog trainer. I'm not denying there are great dogs. Actually, I think all dogs are great dogs. But there's no dog that's ever going to be better at a skill than you are at teaching that skill. And because it's a mechanical skill, the only way you're going to get better is by having somebody watch you and say, oh, do you see where you moved your hand before you actually marked the behavior for your dog? Or whatever little nuances that are going to help you be better at dog training. You don't get better unless you have eyes on you. Now, you might say, well, I go to class. I go to class once a week. That's where my eyes are on. How many people are training dogs in that class? Let's say it's between 6 and 20. So you have maybe, if it's a big class, you might have a few other people. Now, how good are those people at picking up the nuances in real time? Because it's very, very different picking up a nuance or a mistake or mechanical error on video that you can scrub at any speed you want versus being in a room with a lot of dogs that you're trying to, keep everyone moving and keep everyone learning, but you've got to watch so that there's no, arguments. You got to watch that, people aren't making these gross mistakes. Are you going to pick up on those nuances? Highly unlikely. Plus, once a week, in a classroom for an hour, how much of that time is spent sitting and listening? Let's say that's a minimum of 30 to 50% of that time. So now we have 30 minutes and that's divided between how many other dogs? So let's say you actually get eyes on you for 3 to 5 minutes. How much is going to be picked up in that 3 to 5 minutes versus what if you had somebody watching you every single time you trained your dog? It's a mechanical skill. The reasons baseball hitters get better is because they are videoed, that people are caring. I talk to my friends. I have a friend who's been a world champion of judo. I have another friend who is an MMA fighter. And I tell them, if you're not videoing your students, you're doing a great disservice to them, because you actually have an elevated opinion of how good you are at catching things in real time. Nothing can compare to the ability to scrub through a video and repeat and double check. And is that what you're really seeing? I'll give you a perfect example. I've been training a running dog walk with my young dog Prophet. Occasionally he splits his back legs and occasionally he puts his back legs together. When his back legs are together, I notice on video, he doesn't hit in the position that I want to. Then I further investigated and found out when a dog was turning to the left, I want them to be on their left lead, meaning the left leg is further out in front of the right leg as they're coming down the dog walk. Well, Prophet, when he was turning to the right, wanted to be on his left lead. And that when he was on the wrong lead, that's when his feet would come together on the back. When he's on this correct lead, his feet would be nicely split. I would have never known any of that had I not been a student of my own dog training. I constantly am evaluating what I'm seeing. It doesn't take any time at all. So the value of, do you see value in having somebody coach you versus you never have anybody looking at what you're doing? You could take something that might take you 10 minutes of really good dog training. It might take you 10 minutes spread out over 3 weeks. It might be 30 seconds a day, 3 or 4 times a week. And in 10 minutes, you've got an amazing skill. That same skill might take you 5 years if you are doing it incorrectly. And you might believe your dog is stupid. You might believe this training method is stupid. Whatever your teacher is telling you is stupid. Maybe you might believe that you just aren't cut out for dog training because you can't seem to teach this basic skill. It's a basic skill that if you use video would exponentially change how fast it could be taught. Kim's young puppy Waffles, she said, I'm struggling getting this puppy to retrieve for me. I took Waffles into the bathroom, set up a video camera, 2 sessions later, perfect retrieve. Yes, I have an understanding a little bit higher than Kim does, but Kim's a great dog trainer. And I would ask her, did you video your sessions? Well, not all of them. So just putting up that camera and looking at what you do. Yes, I told stories about Kim today. I apologize for that. But I needed her as an example to a skill that she struggled to get her puppy to learn could be taught in 2 very brief sessions by me using the tool of video. And it's not like I trained for 10 minutes and then looked at the video. I would stop after a 1 minute if I wasn't getting the results I thought I should be getting. And I would look at what I just did. Oh, okay, I can change these 2 things. And so I can give you example after example of my own students who, when they came into our Recallers program or our Handling 360 program or our Homeschool the Dog program, they'd never videoed in their life. But when they finally came around and did video, exponential growth. Exponential. Their dog suddenly became far more brilliant. So first category being mindset and awareness. Are you aware of the value? I hope now I've convinced you of the great value. It could also be that, you know what? I'm just living for the now. I'm just doing what I can do right now, and that's my dog training. And that's all there is to it. It also could be the mindset of your dog training is getting your dog to stop. Don't, no, stop, no, don't, no, stop. Well, maybe you don't want to set up a camera for that. But it's highly unlikely, if that's the way you train your dog, that you are a regular listener here on Shape by Dog. And so I'm going to discount that. So mindset and awareness, it's, do you see the value? Can you move beyond just getting immediate results? But I think also some people think, well, I'm not good enough to set up a video. I'm not a professional. I'm just like a pet owner. And videos are not for pros, guys. Videos might be at one time when my mentors, Bob and Marion Bailey, were training animals. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars for one camera. That's not the case anymore. You likely have a camera in your phone, and you likely have an empty toilet paper somewhere around your house. You can set up a video for your next training session. Just try one. Now, if it's not mindset and awareness, maybe it's practicality. There's practicality reasons for you not videoing. And I think the big one that people might throw to me on this one is, I just don't have the time. I barely have time to train my dogs. I don't have time to set up a video and then look at the video and then write down what I've learned from that video. I just don't have the time, Susan. So let's just talk about your time, because we all do things that is time wasting. Let's just call it time spending, because wasting is too negative. So we do things that spend our time, and then we do things that are an investment in our time. So spending time might be like doom scrolling. It might be binge watching something. It might be anything that involves excessive amounts of alcohol. That is just time spending. That is not time investing in any way, shape, or form. So there's a lot of things that we could be that are just time. And I don't have to be here telling you, the things you do that are time spending versus time investing. Time investing is anytime you are deepening a relationship with somebody, or let's say a dog. So that's an investment. Anytime you're learning something, you're reading and learning something, you're watching something that is educational, Shape by Dog video on YouTube. Those are investments. So I want you to be present to how you say, I don't have the time. What are the time spending activities in your life that you could curtail to give you a little bit more time investing? Because I promise you that videoing your dog training session is an investment that pays for itself far more than some of the best investments you've ever made. So under this practicality heading, I might also put, I'm not great with technology, and that's just technology, and I'm out there. So there might be a learning curve. While you're learning the technology, that's an investment of your time to learn technology. There'll be a learning curve. Well, you learn to set up the camera, you learn, well, geez, my butt was in the way the whole time. So you need, I didn't place the camera correctly. And so yes, there is at first a learning curve where you're not going to have like the best payout of your investment of time of videoing, but I promise you, any videoing other than when the big black moon of your butt, covers the entire camera for the whole session. Okay, that's not going to give you much investment return. But anytime you document your training with a video and you look at it and you can see one thing. So some of you may be able to look at you training anything and be able to pick out 5 ways you can improve. If you're brand new to dog training, what you might need is a video like one of the 400 or 500 that we have on our YouTube channel of somebody like myself training a skill, and then you look at your training and your video of what you did and watch to see how I held things, how I tugged with the dog, how long I trained. So you're comparing those. Those of you who are in our classrooms, we have coaches to help you look at your video and compare it. And then if you're still having questions, post your video for us to help coach you through. So the practicality, I get it. You think that I just don't have the time. But when you invest in something that's worthwhile, it actually gives you time back. In that, the skill that might take you 10 minutes that you've struggled with for 5 months could be absolutely turned around by videoing your next session. Now, I'm going to talk about the next category, and I think it's a big reason why people aren't videoing their training, and that has to do with emotional barriers. And maybe it's a bit of a deeper topic. You know, our dogs can only grow as much as we are willing to grow. If a fear of judgment or perfectionism, or maybe even some shame, is preventing you from videoing your dog training, you might be unconsciously slowing down your dog's progression. You might be unconsciously holding your dog back from their best life ever. I'm going to preface what I have to say by saying I am not a therapist. I am a dog trainer, but I'm a dog trainer with a passion for behavior. And that passion for behavior notices behavior in people as well as in myself. I noticed really early on, in order to help my clients bring out the best in their dogs, I had to be able to inspire those clients to want to bring out the best in them for their dogs. You can get feedback from a coach, but you are going to be training at home where you're not getting feedback from that coach. But I shared that 63% of our viewers polled on YouTube have never videoed a session of their dog training. And the third category is emotional barriers that might be holding anyone back from wanting to video their training. Here's the thing. We all have blind spots about ourselves, blind spots about our dogs. Without self-reflection, without feedback, those blind spots are going to keep us stuck. Today, I'm going to talk about what that looks like and how it affects your dog. Plus, I'm going to share with you how we can all reframe those things that have currently got us stuck so we can bust through any obstacles that's preventing us from bringing out the best in our dogs. So if you and I were going to spitball ideas, what would be an emotional barrier that would prevent you from wanting to video your dog training? I think some of the answers would be perfectionism, the need to set up every angle so I'm getting the best perfect angle so that I can see everything the dog's going to be doing, and perfectionism of, I got to clean up my environment. I want to make sure that my bed is perfectly made the way it is every day. Not likely. The perfectionism of you've got to have pressed pants. So perfectionism might be one. And by the way, I'm going to share with you, when I think about perfectionism, I used to have a program called Puppy Peaks where I shared my daily training or my weekly training as I raised my puppy Swagger and then my puppy Momentum. A lot of that videoing I shot in my pajamas. It was not pretty, but the dog training was excellent, I believe. A lot of people really enjoyed that program. So I think that's a great example of, hey, it doesn't matter. You're not showing this to the world. There were actually tens of thousands of people that saw those videos back in the day of me and Swagger doing training when he was a baby. You've got to be vulnerable. You've got to be okay. For you, no one else is looking at it but you. So perfectionism, being self-conscious of what you're seeing, being self-conscious of the way you look, fear of criticism and judgment. It's only you looking, but you've got that little negative voice in your head. And that negative voice is going to be picking out things that aren't going to be pleasant to hear, really. It could be a fear of seeing an error in the training because maybe that cascades some shame in you that, oh, my poor dog stuck with me, and my poor dog is putting up with that level of dog training, and I don't want to see how horrible I am as a dog trainer. It could be just a lack of confidence. Like, I'm brand new to training this. Like, I'm not a professional. I'm never going to get, like, 90% of what I'm going to see is going to be flawed. And that comes back and connects you to the shame, the lack of worthiness. Like, what right do I have to even own a dog? All of these negative thoughts that if you didn't video your training, you wouldn't have to come to the edge of these emotional barriers. I'm sure there's others, but before we go dark and deep into a rabbit hole of negative emotions, let's talk about how that negative emotion, whatever it is that you feel, maybe there's more than one, is affecting you as a human being. Let's talk about how it keeps you stuck. Let's talk about how it's affecting your dog. And I want to talk about how we can reframe that so that you will embrace the consistent videoing of your dog training sessions. So let's pick one of these emotional barriers, maybe fear of self-criticism or self-judgment from you. So you're looking at the video of your training and the first thing you see is, oh, I look so horrible in those pants, or, oh my gosh, I really have put on weight, or, oh my gosh, why did I say that? Or, oh my gosh, listen to my voice. It sounds so awful, and my nose is so big, and the list can go on and on and on and on. And if you're training with us or you're following some of our YouTube videos, that should be a joyous time because we're reinforcement-based dog trainers, aren't we? And we are playing games with our dogs. That should be fun. But if the event of training, of fun, is followed up with an event of misery where you're being so self-critical, where there's so much self-loathing when you look at that video, then the old saying, reinforcement builds behavior, is true. If you're not enjoying looking at the video, there is a very low probability that you're going to do it on a consistent basis. Possibly, you're never going to do it again. So how does this self-judgment or self-criticism keep you stuck? You've heard it now that videoing will really help you improve, but you don't want to video because you don't want to see that. And so what's going to happen? You're just not going to train because if I don't train, I don't have to video. I know I should be videoing if I train, so I'm just going to skip training. Therefore, I don't have video to look at. Now, if you skip training or you train without videoing, both of those options are going to absolutely hamper your ability to improve. You're not going to grow as a dog trainer. You know, growth happens outside of our comfort zone. We all know that, right? And so we're going to stick in our comfort zone, not being vulnerable, not looking at ourselves on video. And we're going to stay in our little happy, air quotes there, happy place where we don't have to look at ourselves on video, where we can train without the video, or we just don't train at all. So that's how you get stuck. Now, how does that affect your dog? We all know that our dog needs consistent growth from us in order for them to consistently grow. There's a reason why my dogs, I think, are pretty darn well trained. And I even hate the word training. I'd like to say there's a reason why my dogs and I share this amazing life, one where our expectations of each other are clear, one where my dogs have all kinds of freedom, yet when I say their name, they come flying back to me. That's because of my experience. That's because of my ability to watch video and improve. But I started exactly where you're starting. And if you are a half-decent dog trainer, I started a long way down, several levels down. We all started with our first dog or our first family pet without understanding our dog's body language or how to positively affect change for that dog. So when we stay stuck at whatever level of dog trainer we are at, we're affecting that dog, and potentially we're hurting that dog because they're going to disappoint you more. They're going to frustrate you more. They're going to look for reinforcement away from you. When you train intentionally through a proven plan, where the dog earns reinforcement far, far more often than they make choices that are incorrect, that dog's drive to want to work with you skyrockets. And so what can we do? We're stuck. We're stuck in this cycle of self-loathing. First of all, let's talk about vulnerability. Vulnerability is the gateway to self-love. Self-love means you can look at a video of yourself and you're going to quiet that negative voice in your head. Let's give that negative talking person a name. You know, negative Nelly, negative Nancy, negative nobody. Negative nobody has no right to an opinion. Would you go to negative nobody to get some help? Then why are you listening to negative nobody when they're trying to affect your dog training? So number one, you're going to remind yourself, even Susan Garrett started at the bottom. Even Susan Garrett made a ton of mistakes. And even Susan Garrett can find things to improve when she looks at training videos today, almost 40 years after she became a professional dog trainer. So the purpose of videoing our training is to give us clarity. What I really want you to do when you look at that video is not let negative nobody tell you all the things that are hurtful. I want you, first of all, to look for what's good. I'll give you a couple suggestions. Number one, you're training. That's awesome. Number two, you're videoing. Double celebration. Now you're going to pick 1 to 3 things that you believe you did well. Honestly, when we're looking at our dog training videos, it's so easy just to focus on the dog, but the dog only improves when we get better. So pick a few mechanical skills of yours and work to get them better without really judging what your dog is doing. If you did that for a week, I promise you, your dog will improve. And so what's the reframe? The reframe is when negative nobody starts spouting off to you, you're going to say, hold the phone, I've got this. You're going to remind negative nobody, even Susan Garrett makes mistakes. I'm okay. I'm going to be vulnerable here. I'm okay at looking at this honestly, because really, I'm not looking at my messy bedroom. I'm not looking at how wide my hips are. I'm looking at a way to make my dog's life better. Because as much as it may feel uncomfortable to watch yourself make mistakes with your dog, video is a mirror into your dog's experience with you. And the only way you can make that experience a better one is for you to be vulnerable enough to say, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to watch this video. I'm going to see where I can get better. So no matter what the emotional barrier that may have you stuck right now, I encourage you to allow yourself the vulnerability to say, how is this affecting me as a human being on my growth to ascending to becoming the best kind of person? How is this emotional barrier affecting me, affecting my life, affecting my ability to live out my purpose, affecting my ability to deliver the best life possible for my dog? So that's number one. How does it affect you? How does it impact your dog? And what would be a possible reframe? Now, if you can't think of a possible reframe yourself, I want you to leave me a comment, and my team and I are going to help you reframe what emotions you're feeling when you look at yourself on video. I want to see you breaking through these emotional barriers. I want you to become a friend of you. You are enough. You are worthy. Please give yourself that grace. Imagine this. Imagine if Susan Garrett gave you a video of her training, maybe early Susan Garrett training, and I said, can you give me some feedback on my mechanics? And you looked at it and it was horrific that she was missing opportunities to reward her dog. She was turning her back on her dog, and her dog was sniffing as a result of feeling disconnected. She never once got the timing right of marking good behavior or delivering the reinforcement. If you saw all that on a video that I gave you and said, can you help me with my mechanics? Would you look at that video and then say to me, Susan, you really suck? Do you realize how much you are hurting your dog? Like, how could you be so stupid that you keep repeating the same mistake every freaking time? Give your head a shake, Susan. Like, really? Would you say that to me? Would you say that to any friend? Then why don't you extend the same grace to you. Please extend that grace on my behalf. Please don't let the thought of videoing your training hold you back. Fall in love with connecting with your dog through reinforcement-based dog training, because if you make a mistake with reinforcement-based dog training, guess what happens? Your dog just gets an extra cookie. And guess what? We can fix that by giving them cookies in the opposite direction to really get what we want. If you're unsure where to start with your dog training, then I would love you to send my team a note at wag@dogsthat.com with the subject line self-love. And we will send you a link to enroll in our Homeschool the Dog program at 83% off the current retail price. By being a student in our online programs, we will help you through the process of videoing your training. We will help you accelerate your learning so that when you're looking at the videos, you are seeing your dog progress over time. And so everybody listening to this, I encourage you, let's freaking go. I want you to set up the camera. I don't even care if it's the perfect location for the dog training. Don't overthink it. Set up the camera, and the first thing I want you to do is walk in front of it and say, "Hey there, beautiful soul. Just want you to know I love you. And we're going to do this now." And if proclaiming self-love is too difficult for you at this moment, I want you to say, "Hey there, beautiful soul. Do you know that someone loves you?" Because it's true. I, for one, love each and every one of you who is doing your best to use reinforcement-based dog training to bring out the best in your dog, who are striving to give your dog the best life without using intimidation or tools that may potentially hurt that dog. It makes no difference how long this first video training session is. It could be less than a minute. What matters is that you are allowing yourself to be vulnerable. That you're saying, "I am worth it and my dog is worth it." You're getting yourself in front of the camera because that's the pathway to improvement. Because all of this focused, intentional training that you are capturing on video is going to be what leads you and your dog to having that better life together. If you've never videoed before, the first time you do it, please leave a comment and let me give you a heart and say, "I'm proud of you."